Cue the story mode music because this is going to be a different type of video. Yes, we'll still be reviewing a keyboard and diving into it, but this keyboard is going to somebody I personally want to say thank you to, and I want to give back to. So if you're just here for the keyboard, feel free to skip ahead, but I encourage you to watch and learn about the one and only Scott Johnson. So who is Scott Johnson?
Hi there, I'm Scott Johnson.
My glasses are crooked.
Now, Scott Johnson is the founder of Frogpants, and he's been making content for 20 years. I would argue he's one of the founding fathers of podcasting and doing before we ever had a word for it. He's done shows including the following.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Instance. Good morning, and welcome to the morning stream. Hello, everybody, welcome back to Core. This is Core. Hey, everybody, welcome to Play Retro. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Skimma. Talking about doing a show on a Monday called The Monday Show. That's why it's called that. This is the final score. Ladies and gentlemen, join us now in the chat room for the current geek. Greetings, one and all, and welcome back to FilmSec.
Now, these shows have been a staple of my daily life for over a decade, a place on the internet that I call home. His content has lived with me through the highs and the lows, and tough times and great times, for my work commutes and my daily drives. It was just a reflection recently that I realized that I've been listening to his content and his works for so long. And now that I have my own little corner of the internet where I create something, I wanted to give back to him for creating all the things that I've listened to for so long. So let's do that. So we decided to go with the Cidoo V98. And the reason so is because it's the 96% keyboard, so it's easy to understand coming from a 100% keyboard without sacrificing a bunch of keys. When you start unboxing it, the first thing you're met with is your quick start guide. It tells you how to use your keyboard, how to connect it up for wireless or wired, or anything like that. Next up, you're also met with an Allen key, which is used to get in the keyboard itself. And then you have your keycap and switch puller, so you can easily remove your keycaps or pull out switches since the board is hot swappable. Lastly, you have your USB-C cable. It is braided and it feels really good. Now moving to the keyboard itself. This is the V98. It's a very retro themed 96%. It's all aluminum body, it's gasket mounted, hot swappable, wireless, Bluetooth, and USB-C, and it really fits the vibe. He's always talking about retro games, he has shows about retro games, and he has a lot of retro tech. And I feel like introducing him to the custom keyboard world with a very retro style keyboard would be the perfect fit. Now, I don't want to lie to you and say that this was my first choice. I was actually going to do the standard M2 from MonsGeek because it's one of my favorite go-tos for something that's an 1800 or a 96%, but it's always out of stock. So I figured this was the best option, especially since I love the V98 and I think it's kind of slept on in the keyboard world. So now we know why we chose this, let's continue to look at it. If we flip it over to the back, you can see that the retro vibes just keep going. You don't have any outlandish branding, it very much fits in that realm of the old IBM keyboards. You have only your 4 feet on the back, you have these stylized lines, you have the Cidoo logo in the bottom middle, and that's it. There's nothing crazy going on. It really feels like a step back into the old office times. If we flip over the top, we can see on the right edge here, we have our USB-C port, we have our switcher for Bluetooth, wireless, or USB-C, and then we have our wireless dongle. All packed away here in a nice, neat location. It doesn't stick out, you can't see it from face down. I really like it. I think it looks good, it's very clean, keeps the aesthetic. I dig it a lot. Also, right out of the box, everything is great. Loop switches, loop stabs, it sounds wonderful. I didn't have to mod it or change anything. But we're still going to take it apart because I think you deserve to see what you're getting for a price tag of $150. It's not the cheapest keyboard, but I'm still a fan because I think it's a very well built keyboard. And let me show you why. Starting with keycaps. These are Daiso PBT keycaps. They are cherry profile. They're nice and thick. The colors go edge to edge. The legends are very clear and legible. And overall, they feel really good. Probably some of the best keycaps I've had on a pre-built in a long, long time. So yeah, that's number one. Next, switches. They come with the pearl white linear switches. They're a pre-lubed switch from Cidoo. They have a 45 gram actuation. The housing is made of polycarbonate and PA66, and it has a palm stem. And let me tell you, these feel wonderful. Like, I was shocked how much I enjoyed typing on these switches. Granted, I am a linear fan, so I'm a little biased because I'm linear gang, but still, loved them. Lastly, it's time to actually dive into the keyboard itself. So we need to start by pulling off all our keycaps and all of our switches to see what's underneath and inside. So let's go ahead and grab our switch puller and our keycap puller and get to work. Now I would like to note here that some of the switches came out when pulling off keycaps. And pulling off keycaps and actually taking out switches for this keyboard was so buttery smooth, I was blown away. So I just wanted to include that here. But now that we have all our switches and keycaps off, it's time to get into the board itself. We'll do that by flipping it over, and you can grab the Allen key that came with the keyboard itself. I myself am going to use a bit to my screwdriver, but the Allen key works just fine as well. All you have to do is take these 6 screws out, and you'll be good to open up the keyboard itself. It's super simple process, super easy, they don't feel over tightened or anything like that, and they come out with an ease. Super great to see. Love an easy design that lets you get into the keyboard very effortlessly. So just make sure you don't lose your screws or anything like that, and you'll be in no time. Now that we have our screws out, we're going to flip the keyboard back over, and then we'll just lift off the top of the case. As simple as that. Now you're ready to dive into the keyboard. You will notice we have a couple screws here for our volume knob as well as our RGB diffuser. We're going to leave those in because we're not going to change any of those. But other than that, you're good to go. You can set those aside and we can go ahead and start focusing on getting into the rest of the keyboard. Here you can see we have our plate with our gasket mounts. We have gasket mounts evenly distributed around the entire plate itself. They are wider gasket mounts, which I do prefer over the little ones. It just provides a little bit less flex in my opinion. If we lift out our plate, we can see that it is a polycarbonate flex cut plate. I do like polycarbonate plates. I also like the included foam that's adhered to the back of the plate. I think that's a really nice touch that it's actually adhered to it. I like running this foam a lot, so for me this is a win in my book. I think it provides a really nice sound and a typing experience and typing feel. So we do love to see that. You're more than welcome to take it off if you want, but for me, we're leaving it on. Next up, we have our IXPE switch pad. We like to see these in our builds. I like using the switch pads. For me personally, I just like the way it makes the keyboard feel and sound. After that, we also have our switch film. This is adhered to the PCB itself, and it's already there. I kind of like when it's adhered, honestly, because sometimes it can be a pain lining up holes if it's not adhered. So for me, it's kind of a win because I do like running it, but you can also take it off if you don't like it. Now to take our PCB out, we're going to flip the PCB up and away from us. You want to do that so you don't sever any of these connections in the back. We have our JST connector and we have our ribbon cable as well. One goes to the battery and one goes to the daughter board. These are their standard affair when it comes to connectors. You just pull them straight out of the pins and you'll be good to go. Try not to tug on the wires too much because again, you don't want to ruin those cables at all, but they're pretty easy. These ones aren't a pain to get off as some of them can be. This was pretty simple. After that, your PCB is completely free. You can see here all the lights that are reflecting on the film. And then we flip over to the side, you can see that it's definitely adhered. You can lift it up to take it off if you want to, but it's definitely on there. If we flip over the back, you can see that we also have our foam that's adhered to the back of it. This is becoming a standard thing nowadays. This wasn't always the case, but again, I do like running foam. I dig it a lot. This is simple to take off. You can lift up the side and just peel it off. It might leave some residue, so if you are going to take it off, have some like high proof isopropyl alcohol around just so you can clean up the board. But other than that, we love to see foam. For me personally, I like it, but to each their own. It's your board, it's your preference, it's what you want. But the last thing in the keyboard itself for foam wise is your 2mm layer of EVA foam. This again is for sound, but it also protects the keyboard from shorting or anything like that with the PCB coming in contact with the case itself. The last up is your battery. This is your 4000 mAh battery. It is adhered into the case with some adhesive. so that's really not budging. We have our daughter board on the left. This gives you your USB connection, your wireless, and your Bluetooth. That's it. That's everything inside the V98. So let's get it all back together and let's choose our keycaps. And for me, this was kind of a no-brainer. I knew exactly what kind of keycaps I wanted. I knew the vibe that I wanted. With the retro look and everything like that, the stock keycaps I do think are great, but there's one other set that I think would be the money. And that for me is the Milky Way Retro Lights. This is a kit that I absolutely love, but I don't get to build with them a lot because I don't build a lot of real higher end retro keyboards. I think with the price of retro lights being anywhere from $30 on the cheaper side to $90 to $100 on the retail side, they're kind of an expensive keycap to get into. So I don't want to just put them on anything, but I thought they would look great on the V98. And since the V98 comes with a really good set of PBT keycaps that kind of give me old Windows vibes, I figured I'd give an alternative set to Scott that gives me old Mac vibes. Now, it's no surprise that the retro lights are based off the old Mac OS colorway, so I think having the option of either or for a person that uses both Windows and Mac is the best of both worlds. Keycaps are really easy to change. You can switch them out on the fly at any point in time, so I think whatever he's feeling or in the mood for, he can do himself, which is the most fun part of building a custom keyboard, is customizing it to you. And since we're not sacrificing anything going from a Cherry PBT to a Cherry PBT keycap, the typing experience will be relatively similar. With that said, let's actually put it all together and hear how it sounds. Alright, so now we looked at the V98 from Cidoo, and while I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you liked the content, I just wanted to talk to you just off script. Nothing prepared. This is just raw from me to you. First of all, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I never thought this channel would be something or go to where it's going. That you have my forever gratitude for. Also, this wasn't planned. I've always wanted to do something to give back to Scott for creating so many things that I enjoy, but I never thought that I would have a little piece of the internet where I make content about keyboards and build keyboards that I would actually physically be able to give back something. Now, this keyboard is not sponsored. This video is not sponsored. I bought this keyboard and keycaps with my own money because I didn't think it would be right to accept a sponsor to send him a gift. I thought that would be weird. I'm also not putting affiliate links or anything in the description of this video. This is simply just a gift from me to him. And Scott, if you watch this, thank you for so many years of content. Thank you for always being there, even though I know you don't know if you are in a weird way, but you are. And it means the world to me, and it means the world to countless people around the world. So thank you. And I really hope you enjoy the keyboard. And if you get stuck or need to figure out how to get into the keyboard or open it up to change it to the way you like to hear how it sounds, I hope this video guides you well. And lastly, if you want to check out any of Scott's work or Frogpants, the links to his content will be in the description box below. Outside of that, that's all I have for you this week. I'll see you next Sunday with another keyboard build. And until then, if you could drop a like and hit subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. It's the end. Keep keyboarding.